to the Inside Track with the Decker team. I'm Ken Decker.
And I'm Yetta Decker.
And together we're the Decker team.
Along with a few others.
That's true.
It's not just us.
It's a family business. So we've been in the business 23 years. Yetta's been 23 years. I myself have been 17 years. And we're co-owners of Keller Williams Solid Rock Realty. And we also run the Decker team and help people buy and sell homes.
We do. And this year, we're in the spring market, and so therefore it's relocation season. And so there's a lot of folks coming in and out of the city, and it creates some specific and unique challenges for those coming in and out. And so, Ken, what would you say those most significant challenge would be for somebody moving in or out of town?
Well, I think they have different challenges. For the people moving into our town, especially if they're Department of National Defense or RCMP, typically they have about 5 days to buy a home. And so that's a very short time frame.
It is.
And it's a little bit scary because they don't know what neighborhood to live in. They maybe don't know what schools are the best for their kids. There's so many choices and so little time to make that decision. But I think we've created a great system for helping those folks make an educated and wise decision and keep them safe. What are some of those processes that we use?
Well, certainly the first one is we're going to have a phone conversation for probably 15 to 30 minutes and potentially longer if there's a lot of questions. And we'll be asking a fair number of questions, and we really do work diligently at making sure they're great questions, not just about where they want to live, but really about what is most important to them in their lifestyle choices, what community things they require, what kind of neighborhood, and all of that. And of course, taking into consideration the whole time as we're talking, in the back of our mind, we're thinking about what are they really saying that maybe they're not saying verbally. So being able to ask that question that's below the answer that we've just received and be able to then suggest different neighborhoods that they might want to live in, because ultimately their friends and all their coworkers often are telling them the best spot to live in because they know somebody that lives there, or they know of somebody who knows somebody. And that's, in fact, wherever we live, we generally love it. So they'll get 5 different opinions, all of which are conflicting. And so it's our job to really hear what is vital to them. And of course, when anybody's moving in from out of town, Ken, one of the big things is they're likely going to be leaving again at some point. Maybe it's a 3-year stay here, maybe it's a 5-year, but often it's not the final move. And so resale becomes really important. So listening for those things as well.
I see. Yeah, that's really good. Now, what are some of the other challenges for someone coming in as far as keeping track of what houses they've looked at? Because I guess they're going to look at quite a number of homes in a short period of time.
Right. The internet's really been incredibly helpful and supportive in shortening the amount of time and the number of homes we actually have to see, because we're able to do a lot of legwork in advance. So after we've gotten a clear idea of what they're looking for, we're going to send them a search that's going to be customized to specifically what they're after and what we believe we've heard them say. We're going to bounce that back and forth several times over the course of the days or weeks before they actually arrive, and so that when they get here, we've already narrowed down to their top picks. Mm-hmm. Which helps a lot.
Now, I understand we don't just run out with them as soon as they get here and look at houses, do we?
No, we don't. We're going to have you come into the office, and we're going to spend probably an hour or so just having a conversation about really getting to know each other. And that's really the primary purpose of that. And then reconfirm any questions that you have or any answers that we needed to thoroughly investigate a little bit further. And then we're going to get into the car.
And go look at houses.
Right.
Yeah, so what happens? We go see 10, 15 houses in a day. That's a lot of houses to keep track of, is it not?
It is.
So do you have a special process for your out-of-town clients to help them keep the homes straight?
Absolutely. And one of the things we would do is we will help you decide as you walk into the home, and you're going to decide, and we're going to be reading your body language and how you respond to the home. And if it's a no, we're simply going to call it a no. And you don't have to take any more notes unless you really, really want to. You can thoroughly write things down. It's just, generally speaking, it's not that valuable. So as you walk through homes, if it's a yes, then what we're going to ask you to do is select a name for the property, something that is reflective of the home. So a few examples might be, had green shag carpet, and it was quite a large bungalow, and so the client decided to call it the Green Giant. Another property, it had sort of stucco on the exterior of the building, and they called it Peanut Brittle. And so you can really pick any name. You don't really want to call it hardwood or cat because many of the homes will have cats and many will have hardwood. So you're attempting to pick something that's a little more descriptive that will help the client remember the name. And they're doing most of the selecting. And when they get stumped, then we'll throw out a few suggestions and ultimately they'll pick something. And then we're attaching that to the street address as well. So we've got a couple of reference points when we're talking about the properties.
So will we have 12 names at the end of the day?
Oh no. By the time we have seen 2 properties, then potentially we'll have 2 no's or maybe we'll have 2 names. And then as we progress during the day, we'll get to the point where we will never have more than 3 that we're still talking about. So once we have 3 that we've named that we all like, or even 2, we'll start putting them in ranking order. So you might call peanut brittle number 1, and you may decide the green giants number 2, and lemons and oranges, because the walls were painted in yellow and orange in several of the rooms, might be pick number 3. And then as we go see yet another home, we're going to decide if that's a no or if we're going to name it. If we're going to name it, we're going to drop one of the others.
So we can only keep 3.
Only keep 3,
top
because
3.
well, absolutely, because you can't live in 3 homes and you're not likely going to be purchasing more than one. So our target's really to narrow in on that one perfect house that really suits the majority of your needs. And I guess when I say perfect, probably isn't going to be perfect, but it's going to have the majority of what you're looking for and really meet your family's requirements and just be a great spot to call home while you're in Ottawa.
So when people are coming in town, what's sort of the average, the number of homes or the number of days that you might show homes to them before they pick one?
Well, it depends on how thoroughly we've been able to investigate in advance of them ever coming, because often they'll suggest they want to see a particular home and we've already seen it and we already know that based on what they've been talking about, it's not going to work for them. So we would take that right off the list.
So how many days would that typically take?
That would probably take 5 days because that's all they've got. So in advance of them coming in, what we've already done is booked a building inspection in advance of knowing what the address of the property is going to be. In the event we have to cancel the building inspection, that's way easier than having to select a building inspector last minute and maybe not get one of the better building inspectors in the city. So that's prearranged in advance. Typically by the end of day 2 or day 3, you'll have decided which home is for you. And then we're going to begin the process of negotiating an amazing agreement for you.
So this time of year, out-of-town buyers are coming in. They're looking at 10, 12 homes, quite often 1 or 2 days, and they're making a decision on which home they're going to buy?
Absolutely.
So for our sellers out there, I think it would be very important that if you have a showing request for your home, that you make every possible effort to allow a showing at a particular time. Because if you're going out and showing 12 homes, I guess they're all in order, and you have to be able to get in a range of times for each property.
Right. Typically, a seller is going to allow us about an hour time frame, and so we really have to guesstimate how long we're going to stay in the home, driving time, and then if one gets sold and or canceled for some other reason, it really throws out the schedule. So there's a fair bit of juggling to really make that flow well for the client that's coming in from out of town. So certainly our sellers and any seller can have a huge impact on the availability of their home and therefore make it one that possibly they could select, because a lot of times they won't know that your home may be the perfect one for them, and if they can't get in, they may find one that they really do like and purchase it, yet had they seen yours, they may have bought yours. So that's just something to really be aware of, especially in the spring. Anytime it's ideal to make showings possible. This time of year, it's vital.
Mm-hmm. Now, recently I just put a home on the market in Canada, and we sold it within about 2 weeks, and they're relocating out of town. And I'm just heading out to Russell to do an appointment this weekend with another Department of National Defense employee who's moving out of town. So they have another unique need in that we need to get their home sold within a reasonable amount of time, because they have to be able to go to wherever they've been posted to and buy a home there. So what kind of strategies do we have to get a home sold in a effective amount of time?
Right, so we're going to utilize every marketing approach we can possibly think of that we've already put into place. We have a strategic marketing plan for all of our sellers, and for the relocation clients, speed is usually of the essence. So we'll often employ some very specific personalized strategies to really suit that particular client and that particular property to make sure their home gets sold quickly.
Mm-hmm. So that's great. Now, when they're moving out of town, they have the same problem, because they're now moving into a town maybe where they've never been. They don't know the city. They don't know any of the realtors in town. So how do you really help them find a great realtor in another location?
Well, Ken, as you know, we've spent the last, well, over 20 years, a couple of decades now, building relationships with amazing realtors in pretty much every city in Canada and the States, and even, in fact, in some of the European countries. And so anybody relocating anywhere, we pretty much have some amazing contacts already established. And that way, we're going to ensure that our client here is going to get the same level of service that they would have expected from us in the city they're going to.
So interesting enough, in the spring market, there's been a lot of news about the budget and budgetary cuts and employee cuts, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the Ottawa market right now. And that's going to have some people wanting to move and other people moving into town, because whenever there's change, there's only one thing that's sure, right? Is that there'll be more change. And so those people coming and going, can they utilize the expertise that we built with other relocation companies?
Well, it's very much the same, isn't it? The systems and processes that we've built for Department of National Defense, or the police departments, or even our corporate clients. I mean, certainly we've worked with a lot of those over the years, the IT companies, and so it's very much the same.
So with a relocation person, wow, they really want like 3 to 5 days of your life, really, for when they come here.
Well, it's certainly a big commitment. It's something we love to do. If we didn't love to do it, we wouldn't be doing it. So it certainly is something, though, that you've got to be available. So we certainly book them in advance. And our other realtor partners on the team, Candace Decker and Ryan Decker, well, it's actually Candace St. Louis, but it's easier to remember that she's a Decker when we call her by that name, as well as Karen Grant, who's also on the team. We're all available to help. So we can, in fact, handle a lot of people coming in and out at the same time, which is really valuable. And part of the benefit to that is we all know the city very well, because our clients really have been spread from one end of the city to the other. And that can often be a challenge when you're coming in. If you have a realtor that really only knows a particular neighborhood, wow, what do you do if that's not where best suits you? And so we've had the privilege, I guess, and the ability to work really throughout the entire city over the last few decades. And so therefore can really almost pinpoint where best suits you given your situation. And so that's been a big asset as well.
Yeah, because 80% of our business is coming from repeat and referral business. And when someone refers you a coworker, we don't know where they're going to live. So we might be selling a home in Canada, or we might sell a home in Orleans one day. We might be out in the country. So we're rural experts. We understand about wells and septics. If you got a city agent, sometimes they're not that familiar with well and septic and the inspections that need to be done. And that can really be a negative for someone coming in from out of town who maybe decides they want to live in the country.
That's right.
So a group dynamic allows us to have the experience and the time to help our clients. And our clients that are selling, or other clients that are buying that are local, they don't lose the quality of service while we're working with an out-of-town client who needs 5 days of our life, because we have that team together that are all licensed professional real estate agents trained by you, because you started in the business first. And so we all have the same system and method, so the quality of the service is excellent.
Right. We don't want a lot of variation in what you should expect while you're here, while anybody's here on the house hunting trip. And so we'll typically, the first day is a pretty solid, crazy day. We talked about that at the beginning, and I think it merits sort of going back and looking at that. And so we'll spend a full day looking at property, narrowing them down, categorizing them, taking notes, and you'll have printout sheets of each property that we'll have provided for you in advance so that you're thoroughly prepared to really drill down on what is important to you and be able to record it well. And then at the end of that day, usually around 3:30, we're going to wrap up day one, and we're going to go back to the office and reassess. If we haven't found a home that we're really feeling, maybe we haven't found anything that we would call number one. Well, if that's the case, then we're going to reassess, or even if we then decide maybe, you know what, there's two of those that we really liked, that's perfect. Maybe we want to book reappointments to see them probably the next morning. By the end of day one, most folks are pretty exhausted and have had just about enough, and if they're forced to make a decision at that point, they may not make a great decision. It ultimately is our goal to find them a home that they're going to like when they move in, not just the day they purchased it. And so that becomes part of the whole journey. If at the end of day 2 we haven't found a home, then we're reassessing again. So it's reassessing pretty much every half day once we've got past day 1. And I've really pretty much never had anybody that hasn't found a home that they felt really thrilled about by the end of the week. There occasionally folks have the ability to stay on a little longer, and that can be ideal as well. Usually not necessary though, because unless it's a brand new property that's just come up, we've thoroughly explored everything that's currently in the marketplace, really by the end of day 2.
Now, you mentioned that they might not like their home. Is that a fear that a buyer may have?
Yeah, I mean, most of you, I'm sure, have been buyers or know folks that have been buyers. And there is a fear, I think, out there that realtors may push you to buy a house just because they know you're here and they know you've got to buy a house. And so we have put into place, probably 20 odd years ago now, a program that really says you're going to love your home, or if you decide in the first 6 months of living in the home that you don't, we're going to sell that home without charging you a selling fee to do so. And so that hopefully takes off a little bit of the pressure, at least you knowing that we're so committed to you finding a spot that you're going to love for years to come, rather than a spot that suits us. And often folks will ask me, what do I think of the house? And short of things about location and things that could negatively or adversely affect the resale value, or something structural, which we all have built homes and we've been new home warranty builders and have been in the industry and taken lots of external courses to really qualify us, not as building inspectors, don't ever want to cross that line, except we will, generally speaking, be looking for all those things that could concern somebody that would be really a negative that we couldn't fix, or that would be very costly to fix. So that when they have the building inspection, which would be one of the typical conditions, that usually we're just looking for that building inspector to confirm what we've already discovered during our journey at looking at the home.
Yeah, rather than us keeping quiet about the negatives we find, and then having the client go and do a home inspection, spend their, around $500 on an inspection to point out that the roof needs changing. And we saw that when we drove up, and so we like to point out the good, the bad, and the ugly on a home, so that people have a well-rounded opinion and can make a wise decision. And then we get the professionals in afterward to make sure that we haven't missed something, or they're going to get in the attic and open up the furnace and look in the electrical panel and just do some discovery that we as realtors don't go that deep. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that when you're looking at a home, you'll often want the opinion of somebody else to really reassure you. And what we want to reassure you on is how much it suits who you are and what your family makeup is and your lifestyle, rather than that I love it because I want to live there. I'm not going to be moving in with you. And so if I'm not moving in with you, it really doesn't matter what my very subjective opinion is of the home. Objectivity, you're going to get. And that's vital for you so you can make a great decision. So we'll provide you your options all the time. Rather than telling you what to do, it's really about providing you your options so that you then can make an incredibly wise decision and be thrilled with the spot that you've bought.
So where do we find buyers for our homes? What are some of the avenues?
Well, certainly we use a lot of the internet, which is now, most home buyers, I'd say about 90%, are going to do some of their searching online, certainly before they even see the home.
Right.
And so it becomes vital to have an amazing presence on the internet. So we do utilize the search engines of about 150 different search sites, and so that certainly is valuable. Our own website has been enhanced much over the years as the technology has continued to be improved as well. And so we're also doing video tours now of our properties, little video trailers that give people a better snapshot of what's going on in the home, because often you can't tell the flow of a home just by still pictures. So although virtual tours can be an asset, they're also somewhat limited in that you require bigger spaces and that kind of thing to really get a good one. So the video seems to be quite valuable in targeting that person that really is looking for that home.
So those are fabulous marketing tools, and we use some other marketing tools as well. But I think there's something that some realtors are doing and some aren't, and that's proactively looking for a buyer for a particular home. I know sometimes we'll go out and door knock on the houses around the property. And you might say, well, why would you do that? They already live in a home. Well, some of those people are renting and want to live in that neighborhood, and that's why they're there. Other ones have friends, and it's a great opportunity for them to pick who their new neighbor is going to be because it might be someone that they really enjoy to have near them. So that kind of proactive. Do open houses work?
Well, open houses can create some synergy and some enthusiasm in a property. And so at the beginning of a property first coming on the market, it's a great thing. I mean, primarily open houses, and I don't think realtors like it when we say this out loud. However, primarily open houses are really for the benefit of the realtor. It's a great way to meet new clients, a great way to connect with people. Statistics, and we've looked at many over the years, and they keep coming out about the same. About 1% of homes are sold through an open house. And you'd say, what? Well, really, the thinking there is that if you really did love that house, would you wait for the open house on a Saturday or Sunday, or would you book an appointment and a private showing so that you could see it yourself? And so you may be casually looking and wander through open houses. So they have great attendance, and especially if you're in a busy area. And at the beginning, when a property first comes to market, they can be valuable because there's a pent-up demand potentially for that home. So that would be the strategic time to host an open house and actually benefit the seller at that time.
Yeah, the other thing I've done, and I think our team does frequently, is when we're holding an open house, our ultimate goal is to sell that home.
Correct.
Now, if a buyer comes in and they haven't seen the home before, they don't know how many bedrooms it is, it may not meet their needs. And at that point, once they've ruled out that home, quite often we can take them to one of our other homes that we have for sale, or on the MLS, it doesn't matter, but hopefully one of the other ones we have for sale, that will meet their needs,
right.
And then they may buy that one. And so it's proactively looking for buyers.
That's right. And of course, Ken, let's just address a little bit the whole idea of our sellers having their home actually ready for sale. What does that look like? What's necessary so that it is attractive? Because it's not just really about finding a buyer, it's about attracting the right buyer that wants to own the home.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true. Recently, we just put a lovely home on the market. It's about $600,000. And there were a few rooms that were empty because the kids have been moving out, and so the home's now too big. And so we brought in our own staging furniture, set that up in the different rooms, and really got the home prepared, all painted and cleaned and ready. And the seller was saying to me, wow, when they had sold other homes, they hadn't gone through quite so much effort. And I said, yes. And now what's happening is with a home priced over $500,000, people are expecting a different level of presentation, a different level of quality,
right.
And they don't want to have to walk in and say, oh, well, if I remove the wallpaper, if I did this, or if I did this, it has potential. That's okay for your lower price homes, but...
Well, even then, is it?
Yeah, not really. You're not going to net as much money if you don't prepare your home. Anytime you prepare your home, you're going to net a lot more money.
So Ken, you've talked a little bit about and we both talked a bit about exactly what's important in terms of getting it ready from a staging perspective. What more would you do from preparing your home for sale?
Well, a lot of people think of staging as just visual. What's it look like? And you can't get a second chance to make a good first impression. So first thing we're going to do is make sure the curb appeal's there. We can't change the location of the house. We can't change the floor plan, but we can enhance how it looks and the feeling that people get. So the interesting thing is it's not just sight. It's, does the house smell? Does it have a puppy or a cat that is creating some odor that the homeowners don't even notice because they live there and it's every day it's the same smell?
Well, you wouldn't notice them in your house either.
No, but when you walk in from outside from the fresh air and you walk into a home that's not yours, you instantly pick up the scent of the house, and whether it's fresh and clean, you're going to pick up whether the temperature is too hot or too cold, whether it's noisy or whether there's nice background music on, sometimes baking something, putting a little bit of vanilla on the light.
Well, but they're not going to be moving into the house smelling the way they're smelling it at that moment or even seeing those things. So why would that be so important?
Well, because although many people tell me this is a business decision when they're buying a home, when they're actually picking the home, it's an emotional decision.
Okay.
And all your senses affect your emotions. So temperature, touch, smell, sight, all of that's taken into consideration in the emotional decision making.
So are the clients determining all that, or is it just sort of happening automatically for them?
Oh, totally automatic. It's totally automatic. They don't even know why they like a house or why they don't like a house, typically. But they'll walk in, and what I find is within 20 to 30 seconds, they're going to say, yeah, this feels like home. Or they may come and sit down on the couch like we're doing, and as soon as they do that, I know that's a buying sign. And so there's little clues that
tells you that they think they actually like the house a lot, because it feels kind of like at home for them.
Or they're placing furniture in the rooms, or would my couch fit here, or what would look good in this room. And you know what's really interesting?
No.
Is even a negative. And this is one of the things, don't tell the for sale by owners this. Oh, I guess we're live on, it doesn't matter. They're going to know. So when someone comes in and they don't like the color, or they don't like the carpet, that's a buying sign. Believe it or not. At first I thought,
Explain.
at first I thought that's a bad thing because they don't like the house. But they wouldn't say something negative about it if they didn't like it. And so it's very simple. They come in, they say, well, I don't like that green shag carpeting. And I go, well, great. What would you replace it with? I don't like the green shag carpeting either. Or they go, wow, what were they thinking when they painted those walls purple? And I say, yeah, really. What color would you paint those walls? And so they're all buying signs, which is terrific. One of the things that for sale by owner has is the problem is people come in, they don't want to say anything negative about somebody's home in front of them. And that's why realtors really serve a great purpose in selling and finding a home. So this is our first show. This has been very exciting. Yeah. It's been fun. And it's interesting that we decided to do the inside track on real estate. And I think one of the reasons is we love to help educate buyers and sellers on the real estate process. We love real estate. We own real estate.
Well, we better. Yeah, how can you sell it if you don't own it? That just seems like a stretch.
Sometimes I think I own too many homes.
I think you do too.
Yeah, but we just love real estate. And we're excited. And it's so much fun because when you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life. And so our clients love working with us because we're happy to be there, we're friendly, we enjoy what we do, and we're not caught up on the outcome. So we're not going to tell someone to buy something or sell something that they really shouldn't be buying or selling.
That's right.
We've been in this business so long, our business is well established, it's not worth it.
It's not. One transaction would never be worth losing sleep over, really, from a negative perspective, or being too caught up in it personally. It's a matter of, I think, as a professional, to keep an objective view and really just allow the clients to have a great experience. Yeah,
so on that note, the Inside Track is here for you. We want you to be able to email us in or phone the station or write us a letter, and we'll be happy to answer your questions on our next shows. So our shows are airing once a week.
Yeah, they are.
We're very, very excited about doing that.
I'm enthused more than excited.
Are you?
Yeah.
So if you have questions, we'd love to answer them. You can send them into deckerteam@chri.ca. And you can also call us if there's urgency. Don't wait for the next show. Just call us at 613-860-4663. That's 613-860-4663.
And another way to remember it is 4663 is home. So HOME. So depending on the phone you're calling from, that may be a little bit easier. So it's 613-860-HOME.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I'm Ken Decker.
And I'm Yetta Decker, and we've been thrilled to be able to just participate with you a little bit this afternoon, hang out with you, and we're hoping to have you back and introduce you to the rest of the team as well. Thank you so much for joining us.